grills in my mouth double as a freeze. The grills in my mouth double as a freeze. The grills in my mouth double as a freeze. The grills in my mouth double as a.
All right, guys. Welcome back. Another episode of the iPoke podcast here. I'm joined with Josh, the Gentleman Hill. Josh, how's it going, man?
I'm good, buddy. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. So you're in Bellator right now. You've had 5 fights there. You recently just fought 2 weekends ago or now at this point, I think.
Yeah.
2 weeks ago. You're 21-5. So just how you been training? Not how you've been doing. How's your training camp going up to the last fight? And just how's your experience been in Bellator so far? You've been there for a while, so just speak on that a little bit.
Overall things are good, man. The training camp for the last fight was horrible.
Yeah.
Probably my toughest training camp where I actually went through with it and fought, just due to injuries and things happening and infections and just a nightmare. But other than that, things are good. And Bellator is it's good. It's good. It's a good organization. They pay well. They're getting bigger and bigger, and they got a killer stable of guys, especially in my weight class. The only knock I would say is their marketing and like promotion is lacking big time.
Yeah.
I think that's like their biggest flaw right now. But yeah, other than that, it's good.
Yeah, I saw it was a while ago you posted on Instagram saying they finally have a reason to take you out of the rankings. What was your is that what you mean by marketing and stuff like that, or was it just frustration? Like, what was that about?
Yeah, man, it just like I don't know, even leading up to the fight, like they didn't even like announce, like I was originally supposed to fight Matos, and then
Yep.
they didn't even announce like that cancellation really, and then they didn't even announce me fighting Breno. They didn't show any of like my past footage or anything leading up to the fight. And yeah, I just like and there's other guys in the rankings that it's I don't know. I think that the rankings are bullshit, and even like, talking with people at Bellator, they're saying the same thing. There's guys that like in my last fight, I won and I went down in a ranking. You know what I mean? So there's really no rhyme or reason how they go with that shit. It doesn't really matter, but whatever.
Yeah, for sure. Hopefully, you get back up in the rankings and like you're a great fighter. So you're fighting at Bantamweight right now. You fought a bunch of guys. I'm just looking at your record here. In terms of people that you fought in Bellator, you fought Rofon. I can never pronounce that guy's first name. Rayfon Stotts, who's currently the interim champion at the division right now. Jared Scoggins, Eric Perez, Jesse Arnett. That wasn't in Bellator, sorry, I'm reading the wrong one here. But you fought a bunch of names in Bellator. Like I said, you fought 5 times. So obviously right now, you're 35, 34?
35, yep.
A lot of the times when fighters fight I find especially like in the lower weight classes, like the 135s, as they get older, I'm not saying you're old, obviously, but like as they get old, like as they go along longer in their career, they tend to move up a weight class because the weight cuts get harder and harder, obviously, as you get older. Do you find, do you think at any point in your career that you would move up to the featherweight, or do you think you're comfortable still at 135?
If anything, I'd be going on a flyweight.
Really?
Yeah. There was a time way back when that I was actually a big bantamweight.
Okay.
Back when I was like 5-0 or so. But since then, man, guys are just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And the weight cut for me, as I got older, I don't know, for some reason I'm going the opposite way, but like it's hard for me to keep weight on. And
really?
for me to gain weight, and 135 is easy, really easy for me to make now. I'm always pretty good, like in shape. I'm always training, so I don't get too big after fights. I don't blow up like some guys, but I see guys like, even like Sterling, I saw him post, he was like 170 pounds.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I sit around, anywhere from 48 to 53. Those are like my 5 pounds. That's like where I fluctuate. And I see some flyweights that walk around bigger than me sometimes, so.
Yeah.
Bellator doesn't have a flyweight division. So that would be something I would look at if they did. I know I could do 130 for sure. The 26 will be tough for sure to get there. But yeah, as far as going up to featherweight, no, I don't have any plans for that.
Yeah, speaking on like the weight cutting thing, what's your opinion on, like, we got a lot of guys, obviously the biggest name right now, the whole weight cutting is Paddy Pimblett. The guy's said, you just revealed he's like 200 pounds right now. Do you think that's, and like other examples, like you said, we Aljamain Sterling walk around at 170, or Max Holloway does a huge weight cut every time he fights at featherweight too. He's been pretty open about that. What's your opinion on it? Do you think that's like if you even have an opinion on it, do you think it's sustainable long term? Do you think it's good for your body, bad for your body, or do you think, hey, if you can make the cut to 135 and 170, why not?
It's definitely not good for your body. That's 100%.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know the how bad the ill effects are of doing it. I'm sure it's not good. It's got to be hard on your kidneys. It's got to be hard on your, like, everything. Like, just, you know, from going that big to, you know, scaling down so quick. But I mean, if you can do it, and you can do it to a point where it's not going to diminish your performance, like, that's what everybody's striving for. That's why everybody wants that advantage, especially at this level. Any little advantage is so huge.
Right.
So, you know, having, you know, 6, 7, 8, 10 pounds on somebody, that's a big difference in a fight. That's why they have so many weight classes. But yeah, I mean, I wish everybody just fought what they weigh, like, walk around at. I know that's not possible, but I would love that. I would love to just fight at 148 pounds, you know, day
Yeah.
up, you know, when I weigh in, or something like that. That would be great. But it's not going to happen. That's why I'm saying it's either like I got to put on a little bit of size to stay at 35, or if I was to drop down, then I'd have to really diet it in. But yeah, I'm kind of stuck in that middle phase.
Yeah. You talk about like people fighting at the weight it's kind of like what One Championship's been doing, right? When you look at what they're doing, they got like a 10-pound, you can't go 10 pounds more or less than your body, your walk around weight, I think the rule is, and they measure your, like, the levels in your body of everything to make sure you're not cutting too much weight. Do you think that's something that, like, the more mainstream organizations like Bellator or the UFC would adapt, or do you think that the way that they have it right now, they're going to stick with it because it's been working so far?
I don't know. I just seen there's a one on right now, isn't there?
Yeah, Mighty Mouse and Mariah's fight tonight. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, that's tonight?
Yeah, 'cause they do one, like, one earlier in the morning, and then they have one, they're live streaming the one tonight at 10 on Amazon Prime, because it's like a North American special, something like that.
Okay. But I just seen that they had like 8 fighters missed weight and failed their hydration test.
Yeah.
So what does that mean? Like, the fight's still happening, right?
I'm not sure. I think the fight's still happening. It just, like, it'd be the same thing as any other organization. You miss some of your pay and things like that, but I think the fight would still be happening. Yeah.
Well, I guess so. That would be cool. That's why I think they need stricter penalties on missing weight. I think it should be a lot higher, like more than 20%. I think it should be like 50% or more.
Yeah.
You know, because you know, if guys, they're killing themselves and they got a pound or pound and a half to go, and then, you know, they're just like, fuck it, I'll call it quits, and I'll give up 20%. Especially in the lower leagues, man, that's the worst, because you give up 20% of what, $600.
Yeah.
Big deal.
Yeah.
You know, so they don't care at that point. And what's the other guy get? Gets an extra $100? Like, it's stupid. Yeah. So that's why. But even still, at that level, we only get a couple $100. But in the bigger promotions, as you go, you know, then you're losing out on a lot of money. So that's even like when I fought Scoggins, not my last fight, the one before, he missed weight by like 4 pounds, I think it was. You know, and then so I said, I'm like, yeah, I want more of your purse. I said, I'm like, I want 50%. And then my manager went back and they're like, no, we can't do it for that. We'll do 25. And I'm like, no. And then we ended up meeting in the middle at 35. So I took 35 just because it wasn't like a pound either. It was 4 pounds. You know, it was a big, huge miss. So, but yeah, I think it should be a lot more. And then that will just kind of push people to really have no choice. They can't miss weight because they're going to be making nothing, you know?
Yeah, I think it's a tough battle too, because, like, it's either do that, like the restrictions that they have and the penalties, or I think the other option would be to add more weight classes, right? But I think
but then you're still gonna have guys that are gonna try that weight class even below. You know what I mean? You're still gonna have that problem, I think. There, it would be a little bit better because if you can't make it, then they got to move up to the next 5 pounds or whatever. But I still think you're gonna have guys really, really push themselves to get to the lowest they possibly can. But I would like it if they did, like, you weigh in the day before and then you have another weigh in, you know, at 5 p.m. the next day or before the bouts start, and you can't weigh more than, say, 10 pounds or something like that.
Yeah.
The problem with that is if somebody does, then the fights are off, like, with like no, a lot of fights will probably drop with no time in between to really announce it, or, you know, so that causes issues there. So I don't know, man. There's a lot of issues there, but I don't know the right solutions.
Yeah, that's true. Like, especially, like, that was a good point you brought up. Can't weigh more than 10 pounds the day of the fight, because like you get some guys like, I'm trying to think of an example here. I'm trying to think of his name. What the hell? Brazilian guy, 125. No, sorry, flyweight. Figueiredo, like that dude. There's no way you can convince me that dude's 125 pounds on fight night, man.
No,
there's no way.
No, I trained with him once at Alpha Male. He killed
Okay,
himself to make weight. Like he's
Yeah.
a big flyweight, you know. So, like it's. I mean, nobody is in the cage what they are on the scale.
Right. No. Yeah.
But some guys are like. But I just seen they just posted Dominic Cruz's weight for his last fight there. He was weighed in at 35 and he was 54 in the cage, you know. So
Yeah.
almost 20 pounds back on. And a lot of guys, like I know a lot of, like when I fought Marlon, I remember Marlon was like 55 or plus in the cage. I know guys that have got up to 160 at bantamweight in the cage, you know, which is crazy. But that's why, like my last fight, I was only about 145 in the cage. So I put about 10 pounds back on, and like I said, I felt fine, but I do feel it's smaller now for how bantamweight is.
Yeah, for sure. Switch topics a little bit. You mentioned Marlon Moraes. Like, what do you think? Like, it's a tough situation when you get fighters like Marlon Moraes is in a situation right now, or a guy like Tyron Woodley was before he left. Like, when you have a successful career, but then towards the end you start losing more fights from whatever reason it may be. Do you like, obviously you're not in that situation right now, but do you think it's a tough situation for the fighter to navigate because they don't want to stop what they love doing, but they got a million people telling them to stop? Like, you know what I mean? Like Marlon Moraes' last few haven't turned out the way he's been looking for. Dominic Cruz obviously got knocked out by Chito Vera in his last fight. What do you think, like, the internal battle is there with the fighters when it comes to that point in their career?
You're going to have that throughout your whole career, and you're going to have people telling you to stop your whole career after 1, 2 losses, whatever. People are going to talk no matter what, whether you're successful or not. And these guys over time, man, like you're fighting the top guys every single time you fight. So you're rolling the dice every single time, and obviously you want to win, but there's some times where that probability doesn't go in your favor, whether it's the matchup, whether it's just that night, whether it's your body, whatever, whether you're taking too many shots and now you're getting shut off a lot easier. That's possible too. But it's always going to be a struggle, 100% for any fighter. As any fighter, it is hard to know when, you know, your time has kind of come. It's kind of, you know, you're on the other end of your prime, and you're fading, right? So it's tough. We've seen that with a lot of fighters.
Yeah.
You know, Tony Ferguson's in that situation right now.
Yeah.
Look at who he's fighting every time. You know, killer.
Yeah.
Look at the Chandler one. He was actually doing well before that.
He was.
So and Dominic Cruz was winning before, you know, Marlon caught him with the case. So it's tough, man. That's the game we play. That's why it's so fun to watch, because it's just anything can happen.
Yeah, Ferguson's moving up to welterweight to fight Li Jingling now at the next card. So hopefully, he's fought at welterweight before. I've never seen him fight at welterweight. So hopefully he looks good at welterweight. Yeah, because like you said in the Chandler fight, he was doing good. He wasn't doing like how he was against Gaethje or Oliveira. He was looking good. And then, which is weird because I've never seen Chandler throw that kick in my entire life. It was.
I don't think he has.
No, yeah, I don't think he. I think he was just a Hail Mary type. I don't think he was trying for the knockout. I think he was just throwing it out there just to.
Yeah.
It just landed.
You know, sometimes just things happen. You don't plan for it. You just kind of do it in the moment, and that one was a money shot.
That's what pisses me off too about the Usman Edwards thing, because I see a lot of people saying it was luck. When you look at it, he was setting up that kick with the right fake.
Everybody says that about everything. Like when you throw a strike, you're trying to hurt your opponent. You're trying to knock them out. You're trying to finish them. You're trying to win. It was the same thing when 2 cards ago when I fought and Pettis fought Horiguchi.
Yep.
You know, Horiguchi was dominating the fight, and then Pettis caught him with that spinning back fist, and everybody's like, oh, just luck. I'm like, no, it's not just luck. You did it on purpose. You could have easily taken, you know, same with Edwards, he's had 4 rounds where he was losing. He won the first round and he lost everything ever since. But you could have taken it a million ways out at any time. And you didn't. You stayed in the fight, you continued to fight, and you found that shot. It just came later on. if that happened in the first round, would they say luck? No,
No,
right?
no, yeah.
So no, he set it up perfectly. He southpaw, so he threw that cross, and he kind of went same side head kick. So as Usman slipped to his right side to miss the cross, the head kick came up. I love that combination, especially when I switched to southpaw. Like I love doing that one because a lot of guys will lead to the right side. Same with Cruz did it too. Exact same thing. So no, not luck. All skill and willingness to stay in the fight.
I was at the I'm not sure if you were there or not. Were you at the Front Row Fight Club event in the Falls a few months ago?
Yep.
You were there. So I was there just covering the fight, and I'm not sure if you want to talk about it or not. But what do you think about the Michael Imparato calling you and all those fucking? What do you think about that, man?
Here's what I'll tell you about this. I was there to corner a fighter.
Right.
I went there and I was backstage for I don't know how long, hour and a half, and Michael Imparato walked by me 20 times,
Yeah.
10 feet away, would not make eye contact with me, would not look at me, didn't say anything, obviously. And then my guy, after he fought, I was back in the medicals with him. We're out there for a while. Imparato went and fought and won. They brought in a can for him to beat. And then apparently he was talking shit and calling me out and all this. And so that's what I think of it. This guy didn't have the gall to even look at me in the eyes when he's right in front of me backstage, but talks all this shit. And the funny part is I must be living in this guy's head rent free for like a decade now, because I thought he was like retired. I thought he was, like what he was doing. And then he just kind of pops up every few years and then talks shit like I care about him. So he must really just think about me all the time. I don't know. And the funny thing, I don't even know why he hates me so much. Like, I don't know, I guess because he came and trained with us like one time, and maybe I gave it to him in sparring a little bit. He didn't like that. But yeah, I really don't care about, like, the guy is fighting in Front Row Fight Club. I mean, that's totally cool, but like I'm gonna leave what I'm doing and come fight you down here. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean. Yeah, I was there because he called out you, then he called out Tisha. I think he called out a few more people, but he was talking really fast, so I couldn't hear what he was saying. And then the whole thing with Tisha happened. And I got an interview with Tisha, and this is weird. I was talking about this super quick because I haven't talked about it on the podcast yet. So I talked to Tisha about what happened, and then I talked to Michael about what happened. Just didn't want to show any favoritism, whatever, right? And then Michael Imparato DMs me. He posted a story and he tags my podcast and he tags Tisha. He's like, next time I see both of you, better have your mouth guards in. He was talking shit. So then I messaged the guy. I'm like, what did I do wrong? And he was mad at me that I talked to Tisha before I talked to him on the night when he called him out. So he's got beef with the podcast now. I don't know. He's acting crazy. He was talking. She's like, oh, if I ever see you, fucking put your mouth guard in. None of my guys are ever talking to you on your podcast again. I'm like, all right, man. I haven't talked about that before in the podcast yet. I just want to get that out there.
Yeah, he won't do anything because he's full of shit and he just talks anyway.
Yeah, he's So go ahead.
He's a loser, man. Straight. Yeah. That's all I'll say about him. And there's a reason why so many people in the MMA community don't like him.
Yeah.
Just not a good person. Like I don't care about him. I don't think about this guy ever.
Yeah.
Talking about because he asked me about it about that show, but yeah, the guy is just, I could give a fuck about him.
Yeah. All right, let's change topics. So you're in a bantamweight division. Sorry, I'm just pulling up the rankings right here. So you're in the bantamweight division right now. Obviously, you're not in the rankings, but when you look at the top 10, right, you got Rayfon Stotts, you got Patchy Mix, you got Juan Archuleta, obviously you got Pettis, who's the champ. You got Gallagher, you got Horiguchi, you got a lot of big names. When you look at the top 10, who do you think you match up with stylistically the best, and who do you think would be the best fight for you?
Well, I've been asking, this is the other thing. I've asked for so many guys and I've never got anyone I've asked for ever in all my fights. And I've always said yes to anybody they said. So yeah, I'm I want to actually get somebody to ask for it. And I've asked for Gallagher many times, and I don't know if it's they choose to not give him to him or he's choosing not to fight me, but he's supposed to be fighting this or next month in Ireland, but he pulled out again, so he's not fighting now. So that one makes sense, man.
It does. It makes sense to me.
He's coming off loss. And he's obviously, I don't know what he pulled out for, if he's injured or something like that. But later in the year, like November, December, would love that matchup. I think that makes sense.
Yeah, I think it makes sense too, right? He's number 8, so you get the win. He's gonna get you back in the rankings for sure. Yeah, I think that's a perfect fight, ranking wise and even style wise too. I think your guys' styles match up great. I think it's gonna be a good fight from a fighter's perspective as well as like audience perspective. I think it's gonna be a fun fight to watch as well.
Yeah.
I think that's what I was thinking too. You could also go with like the Marcos Breno, who just got in the rankings that row. But I think James Gallagher, like you said, is a good fight for you. Like listening to me, what good fight for you is, you know what I mean. So it's another thing. I was curious, where'd you get the gentleman nickname from?
That came from actually my great uncle was a pro wrestler back
Okay.
in WWE, like way back when.
Oh
Uh,
wow.
yeah, and he had a bunch of different names, but one of his most famous ones, he was Gentleman Jerry Valiant.
Okay.
And he was like a tag team champs at one point, the Valiant Brothers.
Oh wow. Okay.
So yeah, that was just something it was more of like a homage to my grandpa, his
Yeah.
brother.
No.
So yeah, it was something we just kind of said and it kind of stuck. But it's been around for. He fought a bunch of big names. Like he fought like Hogan and
Oh wow.
Tito Santana and all those old school guys. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's kind of been there, done it back in the '70s, early '80s.
Yeah, for sure. I used to be the biggest wrestling fan when I was younger. I mean, definitely not in the 70s or 80s, but I think my love for WWE and wrestling kind of as I got older transitioned into MMA. What do you think? Do you think there's a connection in the fan bases there? Like a
Yeah,
crossover?
100%. People just want to see like larger than life modern day gladiators
Yeah.
go out there and perform. And back in the day, everybody thought it was, real, in wrestling, in the wrestling standpoint. I mean, I have a huge respect for wrestlers. I loved wrestling growing up. I
Yeah.
still like it. I don't follow it nearly as much as I
Yeah.
used
Same.
to. But I do. I did one match. It was fun.
Did
Um,
you?
yeah, I did
Under
a
what promotion?
it was called Alpha One,
Okay.
A1, yeah, in Hamilton. A buddy of mine was a pro wrestler, and it was right off the Ultimate Fighter, and I went to a show, and he's like, "Can I work you in on the show, and like we can start talking some shit?" I'm like, "Sure." So we
Yeah.
did, and then we kind of built it up again, and then we actually had a full-on match. It was a lot of fun, but yeah, I think that the fan base is, you're gonna have your diehard wrestling fans, your diehard MMA fans that won't ever meet, but there's gonna be
Right.
some in between that love watching that kind of stuff.
Yeah, especially like look at the crossover stars. I mean the biggest example is obviously Lesnar came over to the UFC. The CM Punk experiment, even though it failed horribly, I mean it did bring a lot of the eyes to that
Yeah.
fight. And even the other way around, I mean you had Cain Velasquez who went over to to WWE, who had a wrestling match with Lesnar. I bet you McGregor will go there once or twice. There's some guys. But even when you look at like the origins of MMA, like it all started with the New Japan Pro Wrestling, right? And then a little bit of Pancrase, and then I mean, we got Dan Severn coming on the podcast within I think next week, and like he's one of the guys that started in New Japan Pro Wrestling, and then kind of transitioned and brought MMA to North America, and then so I think even go back to when MMA first started. I think there's always been that connection and crossover between the two.
Oh yeah, for sure. Ken Shamrock, back in the day,
Yeah,
he did both. He was like the one for me that really, because I was watching like UFC and Pride back in the day, and then he was a wrestler, so I was like, oh, he does both. That's pretty awesome. So it kind of blended the two together.
even look at the Pride and Pancrase. Like you look at the Gracie Killer. Forget
Oh, but yeah.
Yeah. Even look at him. Like, I mean, he was started in New Japan, and then he did good against some of the Gracies and Pride there. So, I just want to get a few more quick things out of you before I let you go, man. Ontario, I find Ontario as of recently has had this rise. Definitely with it, like in terms of like local promotions. I mean, BTC's killing it. They've gotten a few big names in the past. Their cards are actually pretty good product. And Niagara Top Team. Obviously you're affiliated with Niagara Top Team a little bit. You've trained some of the guys there. You got Aaron Jeffries who's fought Mike Mallet, Jasmine Jazavicius. You got a bunch of guys, even in the regionals. You got Tisha Guthro, you got Cody, you got Alex, bunch of guys there. What do you think? What can you speak to just the rise of MMA in Ontario and specifically the rise of Niagara Top Team, getting all these guys and girls in these big promotions?
Well, I'll talk to the promotion part of it first. The promotion part of it is actually not very good, to be honest. BTC is really the only game in town, and BTC is great. I love BTC. I work for BTC, and they put on great shows. But when I'm old, right? I've been around the game for a bit now, so I came up when it was actually still illegal in Ontario.
Yep.
2011, I think it was when it became legal here, and once it did, that's where like the UFC came and like it exploded for a while, and there was a bunch of organizations that are trying to put on shows, and then since then, mainly due to Ken Hayashi, the old commissioner, who was just a douchebag. He really ruined it for Ontario for a lot of people. Bellator came here, and then they kind of put the kibosh on. They haven't been back in years, decade. But now they do have a new commissioner, Luke, who's in charge. He's way better to deal with. He's a good guy, good dude. He actually wants to see the sport do well. So it is slowly coming back, I think, a bit. But yeah, the more promotions or the more shows, it's always better. Like they got that front row that they did one. That's great. We need more of that stuff for the fighters to build. BTC's kind of got Ontario locked, that they're like the main organization here, but then more in unified out west and BFL out west, which is awesome. And then as far as NTT, man, yeah, it's the great gym. I train there all the time now. Got so many good guys coming out of there. They come from the wrestling mentality. With Chris being the main coach there, and with that, I think just breeds like working hard, and that's basically the main ingredient there. Just having that wrestling mentality, and guys are doing well. Yeah, so it's great. It's a good place to train. I like it. I like the guys, and they're doing well.
Yeah, for sure, dude. I think I'm going to start a petition on Twitter to bring a Bellator event to the Meridian Center in St. Catharines. I'm not sure how possible it is, but I think if any of the bigger organizations that were to come to Niagara even, I think it would be Bellator over UFC. I think if UFC ever comes back to Ontario, they're just going to go to Toronto and do their thing at the Scotiabank Arena there. But I think the Meridian Center, I mean, it's like, what, 6,500 people? I think that's for Bellator. But Bellator seems to kind of be staying complacent in where they are right now in terms of locations for fighting, aren't they?
Well, Bellator is interesting because they go to some weird ass places.
Yeah.
But they also go to some like awesome places,
Yeah.
Like my luck too. I've been stuck on all the shitty cards. Like I get Oklahoma, Connecticut,
Yeah.
times. My last one was South Dakota. Just some weird shit. But like they go to Hawaii. I was supposed to be on that card. Unfortunately, couldn't fight. They go to Ireland. They go to France. They go to London. They go to Japan. That's the one I really want on. So they go to some really cool places too, but then they just, like I said, they go to some weird spots as well. So I think if Bellator were to come, I would love to see them come. Last time they did come, they went to Aurelia, the Casino Rama out there. But I would love for them to come like to Niagara Falls.
Yeah.
I think that would be pretty awesome because you can pull from both sides of the border. Niagara Falls is tourist, hotspot of Canada. So that would be ideal if they came there.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. The only problem I find with the Falls is like I'd love to have like the idea of Niagara Falls being like the mecca of fighting for Canada, right? Because everyone calls it the Vegas of Canada, but there's no like arena, like sports arena to hold the event in. That's my only issue.
They have like the convention centers and stuff like that, which be, which you could do. They have like the arena where the Ice Dogs play. I can't remember the name of it.
Yeah, it's in St. Catharines. Yeah, the Meridian Center. Yeah.
That's St. Kitts. Yeah. I don't know, man. Yeah, they are kind of missing like that big, spot like you're saying, but I could do enough to have a smaller show, maybe come and only have like 6,000-7,000 people instead of 15.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, it'd be cool, definitely. Okay, last thing for the night for the day before I let you go. Obviously, like I said earlier, got the Mariah's Mighty Mouse fight tonight. Their second fight. First time Mariah's knocked out Mighty Mouse with knees to the ground. Who do you, if just a quick pick, if you have a pick, who do you got in that fight if you were to bet money on it tonight?
I'll go with DJ.
Yep.
Say he comes back, figures it out, has much more movement. It would be close. That Mariah, he's good, man. I like watching that guy. Yeah, I'll go Demetrius by decision.
Yeah, okay, that's a good pick. If I had to make a pick, I think I'd go Mariah's. I think just Mariah's at a better point. I think they're meeting each other at the different points in their career. Not that Mighty Mouse is past his prime, but I think Mariah's is definitely more in his prime than Mighty Mouse is. The rest of the card is great. You got Rod Tagan fighting on there too. I think you got Musamechi doing a grappling match on that card. That's what I like about one, because they just throw all the martial arts in one card. I love it.
Yeah, I do like that. I really like one. I like how their business model with that, and they got the other the kickboxer, Muay Thai fighter fighting. What's his name?
Not Rod Tang, the other one you're talking about, right?
Oh, white guy. Harrison.
Oh yes, yes, yeah, he's fighting. I
Yeah,
think he's fighting tonight as well. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. So yeah, that's some good mix there, man.
And I like the way they're doing it. You're just throwing it like on US and Canada. You just watch it on Amazon Prime Video, just popping up on there, which is super
That's
convenient.
pretty sweet.
What
Yeah,
about you?
man. Well, it's gonna be interesting how they come over here and like because they to the North American fans, like to the I should say the casual UFC fan,
Yeah, yeah,
you know, they don't know anything about like what goes on over there in Asia, right? And one has got so many like they have the market over there, and the market's way
yeah,
bigger than North America.
yeah, for
So
sure.
they're a powerhouse, man. So if they can bring it to the States and North America, it'd be interesting to see how, like what happens. I'm all for it though.
Yeah, I think it's a great product they got going on down there for sure. All right, yeah. So thanks for joining, Josh. Guys, Josh Hill. You don't have any day, any idea what month your next fight's in?
No, I got to take care of some injuries.
Yeah,
Like I
yeah,
said, I got to get my knee fixed up. I'm hoping ASAP get that done, and it shouldn't be too long of a recovery for what it is. So yeah, I would love like December. That would be great. That would be ideal if I could get on like a December card, finish the year with one more, and yeah, that's what I'm hoping for, man.
yeah, for sure. So yeah, you guys can follow him on Instagram at Gentleman J Hill. Any sponsors that you want to plug? Any people want to shout out really quick before we head out?
No, if you can find me on Instagram, I might be shadow banned and blocked because
Okay.
they keep trying to hide me and saying I'm spreading misinformation about what they don't agree with.
Oh
So
yeah.
yeah, on there maybe if you can find me.
Yeah, yeah, for
But
sure. I'll definitely tag your Instagram. Actually, I'll make a link in the description so you can go directly to it for you.
there you go, right on, man.
All right, Josh Hill, thanks for hopping on, man. Have a great day, and I'll see you on Bellator sooner or later, man.
Sounds good. Thanks, buddy.